The cinema camera industry is on the edge of a tectonic shift. Two upcoming models, Canon's long-rumored C50 and Nikon's mysterious ZR project, are set to arrive in September 2025. And if the leaks are true, they may redefine what independent filmmakers expect from professional tools. These cameras are not just incremental upgrades. They represent two radically different philosophies in how to approach cinema production. Canon relying on pedigree, credibility, and resolution, while Nikon pushes affordability, internal RAW recording, and aggressive pricing. This showdown isn't simply about specs. It's about how the entire indie filmmaking community will evolve over the next few years. And with Canon launching first on September 9th and Nikon following immediately after on September 10th, the industry may witness one of the most dramatic head-to-head battles in cinema history. Let's break down what's at stake. The Canon C50. Pedigree meets power. Canon C series cameras have long been synonymous with cinematic credibility. From the C10 to the C30 and the C70, Canon has dominated sets ranging from indie features to Netflix-approved productions. Now, the leaked C50 seems poised to take this legacy into an entirely new price bracket. At its heart, the C50 reportedly packs a 32-megapixel full-frame sensor. That resolution alone places it firmly in competition with hybrid models like Sony's FX3 and Panasonic's S1H, but Canon isn't pitching this as a hybrid. This is pure cinema DNA distilled into a compact body. The leaks suggest Canon ditched the VF entirely, opting instead for a fully articulating LCD clearly targeting the handheld and gimbal-driven workflows popular with indie shooters. But under the hood is where the C50 starts making jaws drop. According to insiders, it will support 6K recording right out of the box, alongside 4K at up to 120 frames per second. There is a crop factor involved at the higher frame rates, but that's expected at this price level. What really makes this camera shine is Canon's inclusion of triple base ISO technology. This promises low-light performance that could rival much more expensive cinema cameras, giving filmmakers the freedom to work in unpredictable lighting conditions without fear of noisy images. Dynamic range is another headline grabber. The C50 is said to deliver more than 15 stops with full Canon Log2 and Log3 support, ensuring that colorists have plenty of flexibility in post-production. Open gate recording also makes an appearance, allowing cinematographers to capture more sensor real estate for unusual aspect ratios or high-end VFX workflows. And then there's the pricing. Canon is allegedly positioning the C50 at around $3,999 to $4,499. That's nearly half the cost of a red Komodo while offering similar headline features. It also positions the camera just below Canon's own C70, which currently retails at $5,499. By undercutting their established mid-tier cinema camera, Canon is essentially daring indie filmmakers to skip the hybrid mirrorless market entirely and buy into a dedicated cinema line. With immediate September 9th availability, Canon has the advantage of being first to market. For filmmakers eager to upgrade in time for fall shoots, this alone could be the deciding factor. The Nikon ZR. A shockingly aggressive challenger. If Canon's play is about pedigree and refinement, Nikon's rumored ZR is about disruption. Nikon has been quietly making moves in the video space, but until now, they've never seriously threatened the cinema establishment. The ZR might change that overnight. Leaked specs suggest the ZR will use a 24.5-megapixel partially stacked sensor derived from the Z6 Mark III. On paper, that's less resolution than Canon's 3.2MP chip. But for video, lower resolution often means better pixel performance, reduced noise, and more efficient heat management. Nikon seems to know this, because instead of chasing headline resolution, they've doubled down on workflow advantages. The ZR's killer feature is internal RAW recording up to 6,000 at 60 frames per second. That's right, no external recorders required. Filmmakers will reportedly have access to both Nikon's NRAW and ProRes RAW HQ formats internally. This is the kind of flexibility usually reserved for cameras costing well above $10,000, and it could save indie creators thousands of dollars in accessories. The body itself will adopt a brick-style cinema design with a massive rear LCD, optimized for professional rigging. Oversampled 4K up to 6OP, 4K at 1.2OP in DX crop, and Full HD up to 2.4OP round out the slow-motion options. Dual CFexpress Type-B slots ensure fast data throughput, while an active cooling system addresses one of the biggest concerns in modern digital cinema: overheating. Nikon's rumored price point is where things get truly disruptive. Leaks place the ZR between $2,799 and $3,499, potentially a full $1,000 less than Canon C50. That means filmmakers could access internal RAW workflows for nearly the same price as Sony's FX3, a hybrid mirrorless that requires external recorders for similar flexibility. The catch: while Canon promises September 9th shipping, Nikon ZR is expected to launch on September 10th, but won't ship until Q4 2025. That delayed timeline may frustrate early adopters, but Nikon appears to be playing the long game, betting that its internal RAW advantage and lower cost will win out once cameras actually hit the mark. At Canon vs Nikon, a clash of philosophy-ish. What makes this showdown so fascinating is that it isn't just a spec war, it's a clash of ideologies. Canon is betting on its heritage, brand credibility, and immediate availability. The C50 is designed to look and feel like a professional cinema tool, complete with the iconic red shutter button and the C-series pedigree that instantly signals quality to clients. By offering high resolution, excellent dynamic range, and trusted color science, Canon is appealing to filmmakers who want reassurance that their investment will be respected on set. Nikon, on the other hand, is embracing the role of disruptor. By pushing internal RAW workflows and undercutting Canon on price, they are promising indie filmmakers freedom from expensive external gear and future-proof flexibility. The ZR's focus on affordability and professional formats could open doors for a whole new wave of creators who previously felt priced out of the cinema ecosystem. There are trade-offs, of course. Canon's higher-resolution sensor could deliver more detail for future-proof projects, while Nikon's lower megapixel count may offer better heat management. Canon's RF lens ecosystem is undeniably powerful but often expensive, while Nikon Z mount provides easier access to third-party glass at more affordable prices. Another wild card is thermal management. Canon's C50 cooling system is still unproven, and previous Canon releases have drawn criticism for overheating issues. Nikon's inclusion of active cooling suggests they've studied these failures and designed accordingly. If Canon's camera struggles with thermal throttling while Nikon's run stable, that alone could tilt the market. The psychological game: specs alone don't win markets. Timing and perception matter. Canon's advantage is availability. Filmmakers who want a cinema-ready camera right now will have the option to buy a C50 as early as September 9th. Nikon's delayed queue for shipping may frustrate some buyers who simply can't wait. At the same time, Nikon's aggressive pricing could pressure Canon to adjust its own MSRP or release firmware updates to stay competitive. There's also the ecosystem factor. Canon C-series is an established brand with a decade of credibility. Nikon, though respected in photography, has not yet proven itself as a cinema manufacturer. Convincing filmmakers to switch ecosystems will require not just specs, but trust. And yet, Nikon may succeed precisely because it isn't bound by tradition. By breaking rules: internal RAW, lower price, aggressive cooling, they may attract independent creators hungry for disruption. The ripple effect: biggest impact of the Canon versus Nikon battle may not be in their own sales, but in how competitors react. If both cameras succeed, Sony may be forced to radically rethink its FX3 successor. Blackmagic could accelerate development of a new pocket cinema camera line to maintain its reputation for affordability. Even Red might face pressure to reconsider its premium pricing strategy. In other words, September 2025 could mark the beginning of a new era where features once locked behind a $10,000 paywalls become accessible to filmmakers at one-third the price. That democratization could fuel a creative explosion across the indie scene, as more filmmakers gain access to professional-grade tools without mortgaging their future. The unknown third player: of course, there's always the possibility that a third manufacturer steals the spotlight. What if Sony has been quietly working on an FX3 successor that leapfrogs both Canon and Nikon? What if Blackmagic drops a cinema camera bombshell with internal RAW at an even lower price? Or what if Panasonic re-enters the conversation with a game-changing Lumix cinema body? The leaked C50 and ZR specs are groundbreaking, but they may only be the opening act. The camera wars of 2025 are shaping up to be more than a battle between two companies. They could trigger a full-scale revolution across the industry. Conclusion: which side will you choose? As of now, the battle lines are clear. Canon offers immediate availability, cinema pedigree, and a high-resolution sensor wrapped in the trusted C-series design. At $4,000 to $4,500, the C50 is priced aggressively against competitors like Sony's FX3 and the Red Komodo. For filmmakers who value brand credibility and want a tool ready to ship immediately, Canon is the safer bet. Nikon, by contrast, is betting on disruption. The ZR's internal RAW recording, active cooling, and a $2,799 to $3,499 price point make it a revolutionary option for budget-conscious filmmakers who crave pro workflows. Though shipping is delayed until Q4, Nikon's aggressive play could permanently shift expectations of what a sub-$3,500 cinema camera should deliver. The truth is, the winner won't be determined solely by specifications. Real-world performance, reliability, and long-term ecosystem support will ultimately decide which camera dominates the indie filmmaking scene. Yet one thing is certain: September 2025 marks the beginning of a new era in cinema cameras. So which team are you joining? Team Canon with its pedigree and immediate availability, or Team Nikon with its disruptive pricing and internal RAW freedom? The choice you make may define the next chapter of your filmmaking journey. Because one thing's for sure, the cinema camera wars of 2025 are only just beginning.